Mornings in Weston, a suburb of Boston, always begin in silence. A silver Volvo XC90 stood still on the road, lined with the remaining autumn leaves. The cold December air had painted a thin frost on the car's windshield. In the distance, the lights of the street Chestnut Hills luxury shopping mall twinkled. "Michael, breakfast is ready." While making pancakes in the kitchen, I called out to Michael, who was getting ready upstairs. The aroma of organic maple syrup from Whole Foods filled the room. The sound of footsteps coming down the stairs followed their usual rhythm. A pause at the third step, then carefully, one step at a time. This was the daily routine of my 8-year-old son. "Good morning, Mom." Michael appeared wearing his favorite blue cashmere sweater, chosen from a boutique near Boston College. His hair was neatly combed, and his socks were perfectly matched. 3 years since his autism diagnosis, I had gradually come to understand his orderly world. I added blueberries to the pancakes today. On the table, his favorite blue plate was already set, designer tableware we found at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts shop. Michael smiled and took his usual seat. Outside the window, neighborhood children were waiting for the school bus. "Mom, it's Tuesday. Tuesday is math day." His voice was filled with anticipation. Mathematics was his strongest subject in the special education class at Park School. Last week, his teacher told me he had solved complex multiplication problems without looking at the textbook. The doctors at Boston Children's Hospital's developmental disorder program highly praised his mathematical abilities. As I prepared for work at the research facility, I occasionally watched over Michael's meal. My job as a project leader in drug development at a biotech company in Kendall Square was never easy. Just last night, I had been absorbed in data analysis until late. But these morning moments were our special treasure. From diagnosis to the present, each family member's reaction had been quite different. My parents, John and Martha, were surprisingly understanding. My mother, a former pediatrician, immediately found a team of specialists at Massachusetts Advocates for Children. My father began focusing on building facilities for people with disabilities through his real estate development company. They also fully supported the costs of applied behavior analysis therapy. Only my sister Jennifer was different. Arriving stylishly in her BMW X5, she maintained a clear distance despite her superficial concern. "Oh, Amy. It must be so hard." After the diagnosis, her words gradually grew colder. My sister, successful as a luxury real estate agent, constantly posted her glamorous daily life on social media. While frequently posting photos of charity events as a patron of the New England Aquarium, she turned her back on her own nephew. Michael hadn't appeared in her posts for quite some time. "Jenny, how are the Christmas party preparations coming along?" I recalled what Mother had mentioned last week. The annual family Christmas party, a major social event in Weston's high society, held in a 1920s colonial-style mansion. Last year, Michael had surprised the gathered relatives and friends by playing Silent Night on the piano. It was the result of his lessons at the New England Conservatory. His performance had made a lasting impression amid the lavish party catered by Legal Seafoods. 5 fingers tapped a rhythm on the blue plate. Michael must still remember the warm applause from that time. I smiled and gently touched his hair. His profile in the morning sun somewhat resembled his father's. Mom, can I play the piano again this year? Of course, you can. There was no lie in those words. However, I couldn't help but worry about my sister's recent behavior. The perfect life posted on social media. Selfies taken against Beacon Hill's Christmas decorations. What was she thinking behind it all? One day, when I returned home from the research facility, I was greeted by an unusually quiet house. Michael was already in his bedroom, working on his applied behavior analysis therapy homework. The day's mail was neatly arranged on the doormat. That's strange. I frowned while checking the envelopes. The Christmas party invitation, which always arrived this time of year, was missing. There was no sign of the cream-colored envelope with its elegant handwritten address. At the kitchen island counter, I stared at my phone screen. No messages or calls from Jennifer. Usually, by now, there would have been several calls about detailed party arrangements. Outside the window, neighboring houses were beginning to shine with Christmas decorations. Traditional Beacon Hill-style decorations. The warm LED lights gently illuminated the deepening darkness of night. Mom, is this problem correct? I heard Michael's voice from upstairs. As I climbed the stairs, I looked at my son's study desk. His mathematics workbook was neatly organized. His calculation abilities were highly regarded even in Park School's special education class. Wonderful, Michael. All correct. As I stroked my son's head, I felt the peace reflected in his eyes. Just then, my phone rang. Seeing the name displayed on the screen, I hesitated for a moment. Jennifer. My hand trembled slightly as I picked up the receiver. Oh, Amy. I'm glad I could reach you. A light voice. Speaking as if nothing had changed. Yet something lurking beneath that voice disturbed my heart. Jenny, I was going to contact you about the Christmas party invitation. About that. A moment of silence. Through the phone, I could hear ice being dropped into a glass. She was probably making the call from her BMW X5, with her usual expensive wine in hand. Actually, we can't invite you this year. What do you mean? Well, your child is autistic, right? We can't invite you because we're worried it might be contagious. Those words pierced my heart like a cold winter wind. How many times had she received medical explanations from our mother? Yet my sister still held on to such unscientific prejudices. Autism isn't contagious. My voice was surprisingly calm. The rationality cultivated during my research years at Wellesley College was holding back the waves of emotion. But it would ruin the party atmosphere. It would be discourteous to our guests, wouldn't it? Besides, you know how important our parties are. Real estate industry leaders will be there. Jennifer's voice continued on the other end. Her world as a luxury real estate agent. The perfect life portrayed on social media. What was she losing in all that superficial glamour? From the upstairs bedroom came the sound of Michael's piano. The result of his lessons at the New England Conservatory. The melody of A Silent Night quietly spread throughout the house. We have many guests every year. I've arranged special wine from Newton's Winery. Lavish catering from Legal Seafoods too. How could I invite that child to such an important occasion? Jennifer's words no longer held even a trace of sisterly affection. I looked out the window. The night view of Weston's luxury residential area. This privileged environment inherited from our parents. What was true happiness within all this? Mom. I did it. Michael's voice rang out. He must have succeeded in practicing a new piece. I could imagine his proud expression. I understand, Jenny. I said quietly. But remember. Don't regret this. What are you saying? Me, regret? Don't be ridiculous. Rather, you should reconsider. I hung up before hearing the end of those words. I headed upstairs to Michael's room. Watching my son's back as he continued practicing at the piano, warm feelings welled up inside me. You're doing so well, Michael. I hugged my son. His body temperature felt comforting. We have our own happy times. Outside the window, snow had begun to fall quietly. A white blanket gently wrapped around the streets of Weston. December 25th. The 1920s colonial-style mansion in Weston was adorned with brilliant decorations. A legal seafoods catering truck was parked at the back entrance. Boxes of special wine from Newton's winery were being carried in one after another. Perfect, everything is perfect. Jennifer, dressed in a full-length crimson Alexander McQueen dress, smiled in front of the large mirror in the entrance hall. A Christmas collection carefully selected from Bloomingdale's. At her neck sparkled a Tiffany necklace, supposedly a gift from their father. Ms. Wilson, guests are beginning to arrive. She nodded gracefully at the butler's announcement. Tonight's guest list included the names of Boston's real estate industry leaders. This glamorous Christmas party was supposed to be a crucial turning point in her career. Oh, Mrs. Johnson. While greeting the first guest, Jennifer displayed a perfect smile. An important member of the Boston Museum of Fine Arts Patron Association. Behind her, she could see the Smith family, known for real estate development. What a lovely party, Jennifer. But where's Amy? It was an expected question. Yet the weight of those words far exceeded her expectations. Unfortunately this year. Even as she fumbled for words, the hall grew increasingly lively with arriving guests. Champagne glasses clinked, and the orchestra's live performance filled the space. Last year, Michael played such beautiful piano for us, didn't he? Mrs. Anderson, an annual patron of the New England Aquarium, spoke up. Her gaze was somewhat sharp, as a major supporter of Boston Children's Hospital's Pediatric Development Support Program. Well, yes. The first crack appeared in what should have been a perfect evening. My grandson is also on the autism spectrum. A voice suddenly cut through the party's bustle. It was Mrs. Brown, a board member of Massachusetts Advocates for Children. Actually, I came today to discuss Amy's son. For our support program. Jennifer's cheeks tightened. Her hand holding the expensive wine glass trembled slightly. About Amy. While she searched for words, the disturbance in the hall spread. In Boston high society etiquette, such topics would normally be gently deflected. But tonight was different. Jennifer, would you please tell us the truth? Mr. Clark's voice resonated, a real estate industry mogul and leader of the Disability Support Facility construction project. Several industry contacts had already gathered around him. With each glass of wine, Jennifer's words gradually approached her true feelings. Well, a child with autism doesn't belong in a place like this, right? That single statement froze the atmosphere in the venue. What did you say? Unbelievable. Is this really John Brown's daughter speaking? The murmurs spread instantly. I'll have to reconsider our contract. Mr. Clark's voice was cold. We too, regrettably. One after another, words of contract termination were thrown at her. Hands reaching for smartphones could be seen everywhere. Some checking social media posts, others making immediate contacts. Boston's high society information network began functioning with surprising speed. Wait, this is a misunderstanding. Jennifer's voice trembled. But it was too late. All our dealings will be nullified. Discrimination against disabilities goes against our company's principles. It's spreading on social media. There's no turning back now. Under the luxurious chandelier, her world was crumbling with an audible crash. Her phone began ringing. The screen displayed incoming calls from important real estate industry clients, one after another. Between these, the number of outgoing calls to Amy increased. But there was no response. This isn't how it was supposed to. Dressed in her crimson gown, she was enveloped in unprecedented loneliness. Outside the window, Boston's night view sparkled. The lights of the street Chestnut Hill twinkled in the distance. That light was now unrelated to her former brilliance. Meanwhile, that night, at Amy's house near the Weston Golf Club, Michael was playing the piano. The melody of A Silent Night resonated through the warmly lit living room. Beautiful playing, Michael. Amy sat beside her son. Her smartphone screen displayed dozens of missed calls from her sister. But that night, she didn't answer the phone. The next morning, family members gathered in the dining room of their parents' mansion from early morning. Is this true? Father John's voice had lost its usual gentleness. The business section of the Boston Globe already carried the article. The headline, "Discriminatory Remarks Shake Luxury Real Estate Industry," cast a dark shadow. Father, this is a misunderstanding. I never. Jennifer's voice trembled. She had discarded last night's crimson dress, but the luxury cashmere dress she wore instead seemed somehow empty. A misunderstanding? Mother Martha quietly spoke up. Her knowledge as a former pediatrician and experience as a philanthropist lent deep sadness to her gaze. Do you really believe autism is contagious? I've explained the medical facts to you so many times. The party atmosphere. Her excuses echoed emptily in the space surrounded by heavy furniture. Show me the numbers. Father's voice had regained its composure. As owner of a real estate development company, he had instantly grasped the situation. Documents prepared by the secretary were spread on the table. This isn't all. Father sighed deeply and pulled out another document. The Disability Support Facility construction project. All of it is cancelled. But Father's project too. Of course. Mother quietly continued. Your actions have destroyed the trust we've built up over many years in a single night. The new development project at the street Chestnut Hill, we've received cancellation notices. Father continued flipping through documents. Whole Foods Market, Bloomingdale's, all the luxury tenants are suggesting withdrawal. Father furrowed his brow deeply. Through the window behind him was the view of Weston Golf Club, which he would normally view with pride. But now, even that scenery felt cold. "Father, please," Jennifer pleaded with a trembling voice. On her arm hung the latest Hermes bag. But even the presence of this luxury brand no longer served as her shield. "The decision has already been made," Father announced gravely. "Your inheritance rights are completely revoked. You're expelled from the company." "But there's more." Father stood up and walked to the fireplace. There hung portraits of generations of the Brown family. "Your actions aren't just about commercial losses. This is a serious matter that affects our family's honor. You've completely denied our values." Mother's voice was filled with deep disappointment. Her years of experience at Boston Children's Hospital gave weight to her words. "Will you apologize to Amy?" At Mother's sudden question, Jennifer's expression stiffened. "Why should I, for that child?" Those words were never completed. "You still think that way?" Father's voice echoed throughout the room. "If you can't even apologize to Amy, we have nothing more to discuss. You are banned from entering this house." Mother's words were filled with resolve. "Wait. This is unfair. I have rights." Father turned around. "Someone who can't show basic human compassion has no rights as family. Leave." Mother's word was final. Just then, the doorbell rang. "As notified, the press has arrived." At the butler's announcement, Jennifer's face turned pale. "I will explain," Father announced gravely. "As the Brown family, I will make an official apology for this situation and announce our future response." Outside the window, reporters' cameras flashed. Their light mercilessly illuminated the end of Jennifer's constructed world. Meanwhile, at that time, at Amy's house, Michael was preparing for his piano lesson. The usual morning scene before heading to the New England Conservatory. "Mom, Grandma's on the phone." At Michael's voice, Amy smiled gently. "Thank you, Michael." Before taking the receiver, she gently stroked her son's hair. 1 year later, the streets of Weston were welcoming another Christmas season. "Let me explain about this project." Amy was giving a presentation in a conference room at Boston Children's Hospital. Among the audience were board members from Massachusetts Advocates for Children, medical professionals, and real estate development professionals. The new support facility incorporates the latest research findings in its design. The screen displayed a rendering of a modern building. The project her father's company had once tried to undertake was now about to be realized in a new form. "Michael, wonderful performance." In the facility's music therapy room, her son had begun regularly performing piano recitals. His playing, refined at the New England Conservatory, was giving hope to many children. "Mom, I want to try a new piece next." Michael's eyes shone brighter than before. His grades at Park School were excellent, with his mathematical abilities showing remarkable improvement. Combined with applied behavior analysis therapy, his talents were steadily blooming. "Amy, there's a call from new investors." A phone call from Mother Martha. Drawing on her experience as a former pediatrician, she was deeply involved as a medical advisor for the new facility. Yes, I'm aware. The facility, planned for construction in a section of the street Chestnut Hill. Its fundraising was progressing at a speed far exceeding expectations. Everyone is so supportive. Pride seeped through Mother's voice. Meanwhile, news of Jennifer had become scarce. Complete banishment from the luxury real estate industry. Her social media accounts had suddenly disappeared one day. I heard she moved to Chicago. Even the occasional rumors gradually ceased. Since the last time she crossed the threshold of the Brown family home, she never returned. Dad, please listen to my new piano piece. Christmas Eve night. Family had gathered in Amy's living room. Oh, your skills have improved. Father John beamed at his grandson's performance. His real estate development company had established a new direction, focusing on building facilities for people with disabilities. Looking forward to next month's charity concert. The upcoming event at Weston Golf Club had attracted many notable figures who had confirmed their attendance. There really have been big changes. Amy nodded quietly at her mother's words. Outside the window, Beacon Hill-style decorations cast a warm light. But maybe these changes were necessary. Conversation flowed around the dinner table, laden with organic ingredients from Whole Foods Market. Michael, come here. Amy embraced her son. His body temperature felt comforting as always. Hey, Michael, we're happy, aren't we? Yes, super happy. There was no lie in those words. The rendering of the new support facility gleamed on the table. It represented not just a building, but new values and a new form of family. Outside the window, snow had begun to fall quietly. Christmas decorations in Bloomingdale's show windows shimmered against the night sky. The glamorous parties of the past no longer existed. But what they had gained in return was incomparably greater. Next year's Christmas will be even more wonderful. The whole family nodded with smiles at Amy's words. It was quiet proof of victory for those who had discovered true happiness. Michael's piano music began to fill the room again. The melody of A Silent Night carried new hope. The pure white snow outside the window gently wrapped their expectations for the future. It was like a special gift, given only to those who knew true value.